My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
A goof group, yet always stick together.
I didn't think you were going to pull that one over.
Well, yeah, man. It's like, that's what we are. We're the goof troop.
We're the Goof Troop,
So-
huh?
He's been obsessed with a song from the movie, so he sings the theme song from the shitty cartoon.
Whoa. Pump the brakes, Michelle. Shitty cartoon? Did I just hear that right?
You
I
did?
mean, Pete was the neighbor. That was amazing. All right, 10 points if you can name Pete's son.
Gargamel. I have no fucking clue.
Well, no, okay, so it was Goofy and Max and Pete, and then what was Pete's kid's name?
I can see him. I just don't know the name. Butch?
No clue.
I think it was Pete. I think he was Pete Jr. I'm
Was
pretty
it Pete
sure.
Jr.?
I'm
Could've been.
almost positive. Yeah, so
It
anyway,
very well could have
Goof
been.
Troop, that's what the theme of this whole podcast is, right?
Yes.
God, I
Just the
hope
Goof Troop.
God, I hope not. Well, okay, fine. I've been listening to that. What have you guys been up to?
So I went snowboarding for the first time in about 2 years on Saturday.
Nice.
Needless to say, I couldn't walk on Sunday. I kind of forced myself to on Monday.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, but the being sore, that was all right. I was okay with that. Being a complete and total dumbass, that's where I'm mad at myself.
That's where I excel.
Yeah, well, that is where I excel too. So I of course decided pretty much on last Thursday. I was like, I'm gonna go snowboarding. So I just bought a new snowboard and other stuff, and then I bought clothes on Friday, and I was like, all right, let's go. So get all my stuff ready, pack the car. I'm like, all right, hour and a half to drive instead of what I'm used to, like either an 18-hour drive or like a 5-hour plane ride, 3-hour drive, all this stuff. So I was so excited. Woke up early, drove out there, got up there, sweated my ass off because the shit I bought was too hot. There was
Nice.
step one because I'm like, it snowed the day before and it was like in the teens when I got there, and then of course by the end of the day it was like 40 degrees and I'm sitting there just sweating my ass off. So reason number one, I'm a dumbass. Didn't read the forecast or wear the right clothes. Number two, forgot sunscreen. And
Sunscreen?
yes, have you ever skied in Denver or the Rockies, Brian?
Once.
Yeah.
Once.
So-
I was a kid, though.
So let's just say the top of the highest ridge that we skied off of was at 12,500 feet. All right. So
So on the sun.
So you're pretty much on the sun. You climb Everest, you get a little bit closer. But needless to say, I say always, it's very sunny here, and it's a lot higher than Houston. And so literally yesterday, it's going away now, but it looked like I was Rudolph because right on the tip of my nose is where the sun hit me, and then I had this little kind of like upside down smiley face on my forehead because I had a beanie and then I had goggles.
No.
Yep. I think the rest of me is just like stark white in comparison.
So you didn't wear like a face mask or anything like that?
No, because I just had a beanie and goggles. That's all I needed, and I have a beard, so none of that got burned. The neck was pretty much covered up by all the gear I had on, so I was like, yeah, it was awful.
Now the gear you bought. This is what I'm curious about, because when I go skiing, I have a very specific piece of gear that I wear. And
Oh, really? That's a shock.
well,
Brian hates routine.
no. Hold on.
They're called skis.
Yeah. When I go skiing, I try those out. No. So I'm curious what you had bought though, like what type of stuff that was so warm.
Oh, just because I think what happened is last time I went skiing, it was anywhere between -10 and like 5 degrees. So it was the first time I'd gone skiing and I was cold, and that was what was in the most recent, memory of skiing.
Uh-huh.
So that was where I went wrong. So I bought gear that would have been great for that, where it's just a little bit warmer. If it stayed around in the teens or the 20s, I would have been fine. But it's just there was beating sun, and I was hot. I was literally sweating by like the fourth run, like everything
Wow.
was drenched. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. And part of the reason I ask is because like I know that I would be screwed in that situation because what I wear cannot be taken off at all because it's a onesie.
Oh yes.
Yes, I'm one of those people that have like those classic 80s style, like, you know, the ski patrol like looking onesie things where it's like it's a jumpsuit basically. That's what I have.
I wanted to find one that I saw on Instagram, and it was basically a full American flag
Oh,
onesie.
hell yes.
And I was like, I want that because I will. That will be me on the mountain.
Oh, yeah. And then you see a Canadian one go by, you're like, damn it, Craig. He's saluting the
There's
whole
not
way
even a
down the mountain.
onesie. It's just the jacket. I've still got the jorts on though.
He's saluting the whole way down the mountain. Oh god.
Singing the song.
Awesome.
my skiing poles are like in the shape, like the handles for them are in the shape of like some kind of maple syrup bottles.
And as you pass, everyone's sorry.
That just sounds like some ridiculous customization from like some open world game or something like that, where you go through and you just create the
Canada Man.
Canada Man. You're running through a game like that. You got Canada Man running through this game. And speaking of games, we should talk about that this week. We should talk about creating the perfect environment or perfect game or the perfect elements of games. I want to talk about what you think you could add to a game, and let's just imagine you can get the technology to work with it. What could
We
you
have
add
the
to games? Yeah. What could you add to games to make like the perfect game mechanic or gameplay element or whatever it is? What could you do to games to make it like, oh gosh, that would just be perfect?
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. But I mean, it's a good question, but it's a lot of pressure. I mean, we all know that yours would be more Timbits, but you know.
I've got one to start one off if you guys want to kind of hear
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
an
go for
example
it.
of this. So here's one of the things that I think would be the coolest, one of the coolest things for me. One, like right off the bat, everybody should know. For me, if any game goes through and goes, you know what? You know how you've got like the main single player campaign? You can play through that whole thing with a friend. I'm immediately going to be like, fuck yeah, let's buy this thing. I'm all in. I am completely all in for any type of like co-op through a full game, not just like, oh, here's some co-op missions. You know, the games, let's just breaking it down this way. There's 15 levels and or missions basically when you go through a game to play, right? Let's just say.
Sure.
And we'll make 3 co-op ones. Like, you go off their completely side. They have nothing to do with anything. For the most part, I'm like, no. Like, I want it to where it's going through, like, you get in a Halo, or you get in, like, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, or you get in an arcade, you know, beat 'em up side scroller.
Or Destiny.
or Destiny. But technically, yes, like, you can go through that whole game with somebody. And, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I absolutely love that kind of stuff when you can go through and play in co-op. So, with that being said, this idea came up back when the first Halo Wars released. The thing that I thought would be one of the coolest things in the world is the game already has a co-op, right?
Right.
And it does it pretty well. It goes through and allows you to, like, you've got your own troops. Each person on the team has their own troops. They can send stuff to each other. They can trade. They can do all this other stuff. That's all fine and dandy. I thought the coolest thing in the world to be like, you know what? In a co-op, you've got like a super soldier. You've got in the Halo world, in a real-time strategy for a Halo world, you've got this Spartan, and that's your co-op partner. So in my head, I'm going through Burke's the person sitting over top the game. He's the RTS manager. He's assigning troops to go defend here, to go do here, to go do here. But there's one guy on the field he doesn't have control of. And that is a lone soldier, a lone Spartan in this sense, because Spartans are the super soldier. And I would have control of him in first person mode.
You
and
didn't
I
want to
would
be an ODST?
I'd be an ODST. That would work too. I mean, that actually would work pretty well too. But normally you see ODSTs in teams, and
Right,
Spartans
right,
are more
right.
alone in this. So, I mean, but yeah, in that sense, you could go with any game type, any RTS game type. You've got the one like super soldier that your co-op partner plays as that person, and they get to go through on the ground and use all the abilities. Maybe it's a third person game for the person. Like maybe they go in third person, like how you feel like in a Gears of War or something like that. And maybe it's first person, like I said, like in a Halo or something else. But you've got that one person, and you can do things so much more minutely. And I always thought of it I always envisioned it in the Halo thought process, where it's you've got my buddy Burke over top, he's controlling all these other normal ground troops and stuff like that. But old Craig gets to run around on the ground and run like recon and little like stealth missions. Or if I want to go all out and just decimate an area, as long as I'm good enough and I've got all the stuff I need, I go through and do that. I just thought that would be one of the coolest things for me. Again, this is just for me. We're talking individually what we think, not what we think would sell. Like that would be one of the coolest things for me to go through and play.
Yeah, I mean that like the idea of that is actually really awesome, because now you're double dipping essentially into two markets: the people who are going to want to play the super soldier, the one who's like on the ground and shooting and whatever, and then you have the other guys who are up top. Now imagine if it was 2v2, and then like you have like external people, so you have one group who's running around playing as basically it's like if in your scenario, say Burke is the guy who's doing the RTS part of it, 2 RTS players going at it head to head, but also 2 FPS people going head to head at the same time, but they're all fighting one larger battle, so to speak. That'd be fascinating. I don't know. I would love to see that. Michelle, what about you? What is something that you'd like to see in games?
I think that's a very interesting concept, and I really like it. So in the vein of that same type of thing, what I would like to see is when people are making games, they are considering both people who love single player and people who love co-op, and delivering the same great experience no matter what you choose. So in Craig's scenario, like that's still a good game even if someone's playing by themselves, and it's still a good game if you play the co-op mode. Because there are games, I think, that like Destiny is not fun by yourself. I mean, it's not a good game anyway, but it's really not fun by yourself.
Oh, shots fired.
And that really sucks. Like, I get that it, was kind of designed with co-op in mind, but to me, it should still be able to be played single player.
But that's what I was going to say, is that Destiny was designed with that in mind, of that they were going to be a multiplayer game. So would you consider, and this is me asking, I'm playing devil's advocate right now, like, for example, a World of Warcraft. That's an MMO, right? If you can't play an MMO by yourself, is it a worthwhile experience in your opinion then?
To me, no. Like, I mean, I can't play all of it by myself. I can kind of forgive it. But if I can't really enjoy much of the game by myself and it's pretty much required I'm always with people, I completely lose interest. Especially now as an adult who doesn't have time to coordinate, like, hey, let's sit down for the next 2 hours and play this game.
Sure.
As a kid, it was different because it was like, hey, come over and we're going to spend all weekend playing this one game.
Yes. Who would possibly work around schedules just to play one game repeatedly with people?
Overwatch and Brian.
Yeah, I wonder what that's going to be.
I've never driven far to play Halo with anyone either.
Yeah, really.
Crap.
But I mean, when I was thinking about this topic, it was hard for me to imagine things I would create that didn't already exist. So I was taking it as, okay, like if I took, to me, I kind of eliminated it as, okay, so my favorite series is Zelda. My favorite game so far is Ocarina of Time. So what would I do to make an Ocarina of Time experience, but better? Is kind of the way that I was like looking at this.
She's like jetpack.
No.
And Breath of
you
the
can already
Wild,
hold L to hover, so.
Breath of the Wild excluded just because I haven't played that much of it. At the time, just a few weeks ago even, because we had come up with topic a while ago, my thing was it would be like the dungeons and puzzles of Ocarina of Time with the exploration factor of Wind Waker, which would now probably be replaced by Breath of the Wild, just because it is so much more about exploring, with a story that was as compelling as that of Majora's Mask. And
oh Lord, man,
that was pretty much like my perfect Zelda game,
Wow.
which would then be like the perfect game for me.
That's hitting every mark.
She could.
Like, that's just how I felt.
The only way that could have been even more, she's like, and you can rent items from Ravio. Like, it's like, yes, she hit the trifecta. No, but really, that's intense.
And adding like I would like to see a good co-op Zelda. Four Swords and Triforce Heroes are definitely fun, but they do have their drawbacks. And Triforce Heroes really isn't that fun single player. So if you
Oh
made
my gosh. Triforce Heroes co-op, Michelle. Me and you had so much fun with those randos jumping
after
in with
Brain
us.
abandoned us and wouldn't play.
I finished it.
Oh my gosh.
Tug
Yeah.
and I had the worst luck with co-ops partners. Like, we kept getting every single troll who would just throw you off cliffs constantly.
It was terrible.
It was me secretly
so
the
bad.
whole time.
But
was
if,
Wow.
if they made a co-op system, probably more like Four Swords, because playing Four Swords co-op and single player was still a good experience, because the co-op pretty much would just change the puzzles, because it would take into effect that you had more people.
Okay, what about
So-
this? What? Oh, sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were.
That's okay.
No,
I was just saying, so if it had that kind of co-op system, like, that would be perfect.
yeah, no. In like what I was going to say to that is, imagine if you had exactly what you were saying, and then instead of it being like, you know how it's obviously in Four Swords, it's a top down, whatever. Imagine take the exact same concept, exact same story, all that fun stuff, but you drop off the other person somewhere else on the map, right? Well, let's just say that you and I are like, you can add in, your friends list. So if I'm playing in Hyrule and you're playing in Hyrule, we could be in totally different parts. And like, say we happen to meet up at some point, we still could like go into the random dungeons and whatever. So it's more like almost an MMO at that point, but we're both playing Link and we could still enjoy the adventure solo or together. You're like,
Right.
oh, you haven't done the Wind Temple yet? I'll do the Wind Temple with you. And then you both go in and do it together. But you have access to, like, say I happen to have already found the hook shot and you didn't. I could activate parts of the dungeon and solve puzzles differently now. Now we're thinking outside of the box. You know what I mean?
That would be fun
That-
too.
That is exactly one of the other things I was wanting to bring into this was because, as I said earlier, my number one thing is co-op, and I was going to talk more into that. Exactly what you were saying, Michelle, is having it where it is a fun game for both sets, no matter what, where when you're playing single player, and I'm saying, like, obviously you need to play test and things like that. And I'm a little bit more loose with it where I go, I don't care if you put all that much thought into the co-op aspect, as long as I can play and it's lag free. And it's not like some horrendous glitch fest where you get desynced and, stuff. As long as it works, you could literally go to, on my end, you could go like this. Let's just say you're playing, let's just take Zelda, for example. And let's not even say it's like an open world, because what you're saying kind of reminded me of Fable, Brian. Remember like the little things that would pop around? I know it's in the Fables 2 and 3.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking
that-
about.
Yeah, but that's kind of what that reminded me of. But even if it was something where it was like, no, you have to kind of like create a lobby first and then jump into a game with this Zelda one. Well, let's just say, like, even if it was that and they went, well, we didn't really go through and plan ahead for like, let's make different co-op puzzles. I would still have been fine if they went, all right, let's triple the health of every enemy. Have fun. Like, and that was it. Like, that's what made it. You could go through and
does
Right.
the Borderlands thing
Yeah,
where
like-
it's like, oh, the enemies
Right.
grow stronger because there's,
yeah, like, yeah,
Which makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly where I'd be. Whereas it scales it, even if it's that limited. It's not, like you said in Four Swords, they would try to kind of change up puzzles because there is multiple of you and things like that. Like, I would absolutely love that, and by far would take that over. But they could take any game on the market, and as long as they could think of a way that go, because like obviously I'm not yelling too much on the co-ops for majority of Halos. They go, hey, look, it's another Master Chief. I'm like, I don't care. This is fun. I love it. I get to play with my buddy. We get to go through this game, but just going through and going, all right, well, instead of it just being like doubled the enemies or doubled the enemy health, either or, like you can even go more than that if you want to try and persuade people against. I don't know. I don't care. Just like it'd be awesome if there's different ways to go about it and push things through. And that's why, I mean, really that entire thing comes from like the Dark Souls. They do that so well where it's a challenging game when you're playing by yourself. You get somebody else in there. Yes, they double the health of everybody. Or maybe not double, they increase it by like 1.5, but it becomes a ton easier because you can divert the attention and just get free shots off, So like just that idea where it doesn't even have to be like easier or harder. It could be just, well, we're going to try and make it where it works. And it's not like, okay, this is just Slaughterfest, but oh my gosh, having co-op games, like every type of thing for a co-op game would be amazing. I'm just like in heaven thinking about it.
But what about this with co-op?
I mean, and that's how I feel too, because there are games that I feel that would be really good single player games, and they didn't make good single player. They just focus so much on multiplayer.
Yeah, I could see that. There's a lot of games that have lackluster, campaigns and all that. But what about you, Burke? What's your thought on that?
I love all y'all's ideas. Oh my god, I love all y'all's ideas. That's. I think everyone would know. I would agree with Craig. I want co-op. That's the easy one. Like I will consider buying a game just for co-op. Like I think what was it 2 years ago or last year? Craig and I were like, we're done with Call of Duty. Fuck that game. It's horrible. Not doing it. And they go, co-op campaign. Yep, I'm in.
That's literally all they did. I mean, how long ago was it, Brian? Where we're like, we're done with these Call of Duty games. We're not playing them anymore. It's boring. All it is multiplayer for us, and we don't enjoy the single player or anything like that. We're like, we're done. And I had said, I go, if they ever make a co-op, I'm back in and I'm going to try it. And it was like 2 years later, they're like, 4-player co-op. I slapped $60 down on the desk. I was like, yours, take it.
And then we never even finished it, because it was
terrible. It was terrible.
Wow.
But they tried it, and I love that. Like, I will never fault them for going, hey, we fucking tried, dude. Like, we went through and made this, and I played as much as I could before I was like, I literally can't take this anymore. But I am not unhappy about the money I spent, because they did something I was wanting them to do for years, for absolute years. They missed the mark, but I can't fault them for trying.
I'm just sitting here thinking in my head about all these games like that are single player currently, that the thought of co-op, I'm just not necessarily super into, or like I can't figure out. Like, I'm trying to figure out basically games that would not work in co-op situations. You know what I mean?
All right, start listing them off, Brian. Me and you might have a throwdown on this.
See, if you have a good single player still, there's no reason there can't be also good co-op for Pokemon. So instead of using your first 2 Pokemon in double battles, you each pick one, kind of like you do when your AI joins you.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that X and Y a little bit, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It probably would end up taking more effort in a Pokemon, because it would be hard you might break immersion if they go, well, here you go. Let's just say for some reason, whenever you're in a battle, it automatically brings the other person into a battle. And let's say everybody's all right with that.
Yeah.
Nobody has a qualm about that at all. Let's just say, just to make this initial part easier, because you could see how they'd go, okay, I accepted the first part where we're walking together and all of a sudden I'm walking way over here and you're walking way over there. And it goes on my screen. I'm going, what the fuck just happened? Let's just say again, we're all good with that. We got past that point, but then at that point, it's little Johnny with his shorts on. He's like, here's my 10th prestige Rattata. And he throws it out, and then there's 2 of them. And then you're like doing a double battle, and it's Brian and I, and I've got Squirtle, and Brian's got Bulbasaur, and so we go in there, and it's still like the same level 6 Rattata, and it has the same moves. Obviously, it does different moves. It's not like it's just literally copy paste.
Yeah. Rattata use Tail Whip. Rattata use Tail Whip. It's like these battles are awful.
But so I think Pokemon would there'd have to be a lot of different things you could do. But even if you put it in there and it did kind of be and it was kind of janky like that, where it pulled you in, I don't care. That would make me so happy. I would, Brian. That would definitely get me to play a Pokemon.
Please don't get.
But I'm saying you'd be able to play the single player, like everything's good, everything's going on, and then let's just say whatever. Again, it's just like it pulls people over and it takes people. Let's say I'm a level. Most of my Pokemon are level 20 and yours are level 30s ish. And it kind of just takes a percentage down. So your guys aren't as powerful and they're not like overpowering everything. Like even if you jumped in and it was like the stupidest thing in the world on how it worked, like with us battling and walking around and doing things, like I would still play the shit out of it.
What would be fun too is like controlling the rival to make them competent.
Oh, don't even joke about that. You know what would be better is if the multiplayer was literally the other person was the rival. Like you have to set it initially, right? Like so, like let's just say I have Sun and you have Moon. We automatically because you have the opposite versions,
right.
You get to be the rival. Rival doesn't mean you can't trade or can't have friendly battles, but like it also does mean that you have like a rival, meaning that there's literally like an actual like system in place to where like you have like a. I don't know what to call it other than a rating system, but kind of like, well, just looks like my Jolteon beat your Vaporeon again, Craig. You lose 20 competitive points, and you're like, shit, I'll never be in the Pokemon League now. I don't know, I'm just making it up, but you get the idea. I guess now that I think about it that way, that would actually be pretty tight, because I want to be the rival.
I want to see a game like Witcher be co-op.
Oh, a big
They
open
tried
world
it. It was
co-op
called
game.
Fable, and it sucked. Oh
They had so many good things about Fable.
no, they didn't.
They had so many good things about Fable, and
We should have
it's
invited
just
Peter
like-
Molyneux to this podcast because he, in
That's the
concept,
week I
creates
was gone.
perfect games.
That is the
And then
week I will
he's
be
like,
gone.
Nope, and he just gets rid of every idea that's good.
But he promises everything. He's like co-op in every game,
Yeah,
and
he's
you're
like, guys, this is gonna be the perfect game, and everyone's like, oh my god, you're amazing. And then he's like, but we're gonna change 57 items when we release the game, and everyone's like, oh.
you remember the cube thing that he did, where everyone was trying to get to the drill to the center of the cube to get the special prize? Remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you got to be the god of
Yeah,
the game.
yeah. So
basically.
like he basically had this cube thing that if you clicked on it, you took away like 1 pixel of the block or whatever, and like whoever reached the center first, like got the special prize, which was you get to be the
Gotcha.
god of a game. And it's like
Yeah,
and
the
it was
last
some
thing I
random kid that
remember
everyone was
is-
pissed at.
The last thing I remember him doing was like creating that really awesome Project Milo, which was the best looking thing for Kinect, and then just being like, we're done.
Oh man, there you go. That's my ideal thing, is that everything uses Kinect. That is best system ever.
I mean, really, Fable 3, there was a lot of stupid things about the game, but the best thing they did was the co-op on that. It was by far the best, where comparatively to the other, like the second Fable game, it was like a single screen overhead camera basically when you're walking around, and you couldn't go too far away.
Right.
Otherwise you're like, oh, I'm stuck, I can't go anywhere. And then in Fable 3 they're like, hey, let's fix this co-op. You can walk anywhere in the town or like the loaded map. You guys can completely walk separate and walk around and do things, and that part was super cool. And
I agree.
they fucked up so much else on that game.
Yeah.
though.
So when it comes to innovation and like thoughts of like what makes it like I went back to the thought of what makes a good game, right? And so like for me, what an ideal game is a hodgepodge of a bunch of different developers putting forth their best foot. You know what I mean? So for example,
So do you have like a dream team of developers?
oh hell yes, I do. Because like basically, all right. So if I was to pick the ideal people to do,
Let's say 3.
Okay. Best music, I would probably take Grant Kirkhope. Say to do the audio track for it, right?
Excellent choice.
Thank you. Design team for the characters to make them bright and colorful. I would take the crew at Blizzard for sure, because I think all their characters, even just without even them saying anything, you know what they're about. You know what I mean? They're colorful, they're bright, but they're also very like distinctive in the way they design characters. And then for gameplay, tough call on that, to be completely honest with you, because it all depends on what type of game it is. But I mean, just for quality control, you could just basically take Nintendo just for quality control purposes, because their games tend to not come out of the box broken. You know what I mean? So like, I guess that's the only way I could put that for that. But yeah, anyway. But so that right there was my initial like thought process as to how I was kind of designing this idea. But I guess for me, it comes down to a key concept, and that is, I think I mentioned on one of the first podcasts we did that I love progression in games. But I've realized as the years gone on, I don't like progression as much as I like progression of yourself. So what I mean by that is this. Link, for example, can only get so strong. He eventually gets all the items and he gets all the hearts, right? And at that
Fair
point,
enough.
he has reached max level. Same thing with a Pokemon. It can only get up to a level 100 and have perfect IVs and then have perfect stats and such, right? There hits a limit. But that's the difference, is that there's a therein lies almost the meta game of you can become better yourself. So in other words, if you can take like a game like, you know, the one I've been obsessed with forever, which is Overwatch, those characters come in a predefined package. You're not going to get a booster pack that makes them better or a random item that makes them better. The only thing that can make them better is you. So for me, I think that the game needs to have that as a basis. The characters already come essentially, like you can do cosmetic things to them, but I would hate for them to have any sort of like, and now you get the super sword that cuts through everybody. I'm like, no. I need to be able to play better, like to get through it. I don't know. Something like that just really kind of stuck in my head when we were discussing this topic for this week. But yeah.
I've got something a little different. I was trying to come up because that was a really interesting way of putting together a dream team of developers and people onto a team to make a game. And the thing is, this is such a hodgepodge of like, I don't know if these guys would actually all work together or these companies / teams, whatever, would work together to create the same type of game. But I'm thinking like somehow they all had a unified vision of what this game was going to be and they could all come together. That would be cool because you're going to immediately go like this. Because right now, like the characters, the person that the team that would develop the characters and the team that developed the music, they are very much clashing. Like, and so that's what I'm saying. Like, it would have to just be perfect because, like, the character development, I would actually want to do from software, like the Dark Souls type thing. Like, I love that just really creepy and dark and
gritty.
Like, oh my gosh, I love being in that world. It's so much fun. And then the music. Burke might be with me on this one. Marty O'Donnell. If I can get him to do,
he was
I'm
up.
assuming
epic-
this is for Halo, right?
I gotta be honest
Yeah.
with you. I might want to change my
was mine.
option then, depending on the
I
type
can
of game.
get him to create this. Yeah, well, and that's the thing is it all depends on the type of game, but I'm imagining everybody came together with this like, you know what, let's do this, and they all had the same good idea here. Story, I'm ripping a lot from the same company here. Joe Staten, the guy that originally wrote the Halo universe and the expanded universe. Like he was the one that put together like the entire massive universe book from these things, and he pieced together the first Halo game so well, in my opinion, that allowed it to actually, you know, for a first-person shooter, it was a pretty good story of going through and learning about all this stuff. And it's a very basic story, but it was very engaging.
It was.
When you're going through
As somebody who's
you,
only
like,
watched the game, I completely agree with that.
like you were engaged. You're like, okay, whatever. It's, oh, look at this. It's, you know, spoilers here for a game that's been out for 15 years. No, 16 years now, 16, 17 years almost. You know, it's a first person shooter. So you're basically running around just shooting things in the head and, oh, look, there's the enemy. They're destroying the universe. We're going to destroy them first. Oh, look, there's a third enemy. Holy shit. Holy crap. Like, it's a very basic storyline, but the way that it was introduced with all of the different components they did to make it where it went from gameplay to that, I can say that it feels like it's very much on Joseph Staten on creating that, like, there's enough story here to get you to the next part. You need to have that mystery in between. So those are the only three things I came up with. If you guys have other categories, I can add to it. I just need more time.
The mystery thing, actually, that sparked a good point that I can bring up there. Mystery in the games. So I think that the most successful games that have come out in recent years all have the one thing in common of mystery, because if you really break it down, especially on the indie scene, think about all the games that have been successful. Your Five Nights at Freddy's, your Undertale, your even more popular ones, even Overwatch, for example. They don't slap you in the face going, "Hey, here's the story. Here it is. Check it out, my story. Look at my story." They go, "Hey, here's a little nugget. Here's a little, like, oh, breadcrumb." And you can look at the surface level story and you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, well, yep, there's an Omnic crisis." But if you really want to know what happened between all the characters, you got to go a little deeper. You got to start listening to little audio cues. In Five Nights at Freddy's, you have to, like, there's like a super secret thing. Like, you have to start pressing tiles on the wall in a very specific sequence at a specific hour. Like, it goes so deep. Undertale has secrets on secrets on secrets. And you just start, well, and heck, even Breath of the Wild, another thing. It's all based on secrets. So I think that has kind of become a trend, but I love that trend. And I think that if I designed a perfect game, it'd have to have lots of secrets, lore that doesn't hit you in the face. But I don't know. I mean, do you guys see the same trend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see that trend too. And I think those are always, those are always usually the best TV shows, games, books, everything, where it's at heart, it's a mystery. What's going on? I'll keep this really short because I know Michelle's got her dream team already too. She's got a set for us. But like even the Harry Potter series, it's a mystery. Every book was a mystery. You know, every single one of them was, oh, well, like basically first one, who is Voldemort? Like, what is this? Second one, who is the Who's opening the Chamber of Secrets? Third one, who is Sirius Black and why is he like every single one of them was a mystery, but you got to grow up with this kid and you really liked him. So I think that's huge. Yeah, the mystery is big. Michelle, what's your team?
Mine's pretty simple because there are just two people that I would love to see corroborate. I would love to see Miyamoto and Kojima get together and make a game.
I knew it was going to be that.
No, shut up, Brian.
Oil and water. Oil and water.
No, I swear to God, if Kojima could make cutscenes like he does for Metal Gear for Zelda, I would weep with happiness.
Are we talking about the same guy? We're talking about the same guy. We're talking about Kojima.
I don't know.
I mean, we're talking about Hideo Kojima.
Yes.
Mr. Photograph naked women as they die in Metal Gear 4 or whatever it is, sex scene guy. That guy.
Again, I'm going off Craig's logic that they have the same vision for the game.
Versus Mr. Make a funny Italian man with the mustache. Like
I would love to see them create a game together.
Michelle, you are either a genius or you're crazy. I don't know which though.
I'm gonna go with genius.
Okay. Wow. Like, wow.
I'd be very interested in that. I'd go with that in terms of, like I said, and what she is reiterating, that they have a unified vision. It's obviously something both of them would sign off on. So maybe Miyamoto gets to play a little bit more in the mud. And okay, so maybe it's not really mud. It's like someone dropped one single piece of dirt into the sparkling pool of water. But like Kojima gets to just create something out of a more wholesome look on a story. Like it'd be interesting. Again, we are assuming they are coming together and everybody agrees to it, and it's all within their moral set.
No, I'm just thinking Mr. Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus combined with Star Fox Man. Like, I mean, just like they're like literally nothing we say tonight could ever top that. Michelle, you just won the podcast. Burke, mark her down. She won. Oh my God.
Done. Had to pull up the spreadsheet, but she's done. One.
I was trying to think of this. I was trying to think of a way of adding Naughty Dog into the mix too.
Oh, they're such a good company.
They make very good. Maybe I put them in charge of cinematics. Like I put them in charge of instead of giving it Kojima, I give Naughty Dog they get the camera in a sense. Like you direct how the story goes and how it looks. Like in terms of they're the director of photography. They're the ones that go through in cinematics. They get to point the camera. They get to say, all right, in this little thing, even if it's not a cutscene, but in games it'll go through and it'll like focus on something real quick, or it'll change the camera angle, something along those lines. It'll give them the ability to create they're going off a story, but they're helping push the narrative with their, I'm not going to say theme, but they're the ones putting all the photography into it. They're the ones that push that into it.
I have a very special job for EA. They can go get the coffee and then charge everyone.
Stay the fuck out of this dream game.
and everyone can stay the hell out of the game design, but they could fuck up a coffee order and ask for a special subscription.
The only two other things I was trying to put together were one, making sure Nintendo had no access near the online capabilities of this game. Which is, nope.
I'll give you that.
The door's locked and Miyamoto's got his card. He's like, this gets me anywhere in the building. He swipes. It's like,
he's like, I have a great idea for motion control. It's like, no,
stay out of here. Stay out of here. We don't want you.
Go write the story.
And I was trying to think of who I wanted to put in charge of like online networking, but it's like, there's no game that you feel always hit the mark perfectly every time for online networking for a single player / co-op game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say in modern gaming, online capabilities are still one of the biggest downfalls in general.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's basically hope yourself and everyone who's playing has great connection, and then enjoy your game.
Yeah. Pretty much the only like good connection game seems like when it's just purely like competitive multiplayer. I'll say competitive in this sense, but like it's a versus multiplayer, not a cooperative multiplayer. Seem like they're the only ones that have a great service.
Oh. Yeah.
Speaking of a great service, I feel like Michelle did a great service to us by making an amazing quiz for us this
I
week.
had a lot of fun with this quiz too.
Yay!
And it was a pretty logical transition. So we were talking about our perfect game, and this quiz is about quote unquote already perfect games. So we're going to be looking at games that have received perfect scores.
So you hang out with the Halo series and nothing else?
Perfect scores, like 10 out of
Bad news
10.
about 0 Halo games getting a perfect score.
I thought Halo 3 did. I'm maybe not on like a Metacritic, but they made because there was a list of games. It was
on
like
Bungie Weekly.
no, there was a list of like 7 games: Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time, like Super Mario
Stop,
Galaxy
stop.
2, all these other ones, and the Halo 3 was on there too. Was on the list.
So it
sorry,
depends
but
on
go
which, I guess, reviewer you're looking at. I
Right,
was
it
looking
does.
at IGN, GameSpot, and Famitsu. Those are the 3 that I stuck with because
Okay.
if I didn't narrow it
Perfect.
down, it was going to be
Yeah, no,
impossible.
that's fair.
So those are all the reviewers we're using for this quiz. So just for the viewers, in case they don't know, GameSpot and IGN use a 1 to 2 or 1 to 10 system to rate games, and it comes from pretty much 1 or 2 people. So 10 is a perfect score for them, and for Famitsu, there are 4 reviewers, and so all 4 of them have to give a 10 for a perfect score of 40.
Gotcha.
Pretty legit.
So for this quiz, any remakes will be bundled as one title with the original if they both received a perfect score. Games like Pokemon, if they're on any of the lists, the 2 main games from a generation will be counted as one entry, while any of the special games, Yellow, Crystal, Emerald, will be counted separately.
Okay.
Each question has different values, so for each question I will explain anything special for this. So question 1 is going to be worth 5 points apiece. Burke, do you have an order for who hasn't gone first in a while?
Craig, Brian, and then myself.
Okay. Probably good based on Michelle telling me to shut up 3 seconds ago.
All right, so the first one, so out of the 3 lists that I am using, GameSpot, IGN, and Famitsu, there are 5 titles that got perfect scores on all 3 of them. Hint, all 3 companies either started after or did not reward perfect scores until at least 1997 or later. So name the 5 titles that have perfect scores across all 3 of those raters.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Ocarina of Time, and I'm probably gonna go with both of the iterations, the 3DS version and the. If that's what you're saying is, I have to go with both of them for being perfect, right? Or you're saying
No,
just one
I'm
of them
just
had to be
saying,
perfect?
If they both got perfect, they're not going to take up 2 spots on the list.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go Ocarina of Time original. I'm gonna go with Super Mario Galaxy 2. I'm gonna go with other great games. Let's go Super Mario 64. Let's go with how late is this up to? Do you have a year of when this ended or a week?
March 2017.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Breath of the Wild, and then I'm also gonna go with let's go with. This is gonna sound so stupid. Rock Band 3. I don't know. Is that 4 or is that 5? I think
named
it's 5.
Okay. So it's me next, right, Bert?
Yes, you're up.
Okay. So once again, I'm going to go with Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild for sure. But I'm also going to throw in on top of that. I was trying to think about just things that would just knock it out of the park as far as like reviewers were concerned. And Resident Evil, the remake, would be a potential one on that list. I think. I think that as far as perfect games are concerned, I honestly Pikmin and trying to think about Minecraft.
All right, Burke, your turn.
All right, I'm gonna go with Ocarina of Time, and Breath of the Wild. Shoot, I forgot the first one. GoldenEye. So one of the Marios. Let's go with the Super Mario Galaxy 1. Then let's go with Assassin's Creed 2. I think that's
Okay,
5.
so each of you get 2 points for Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. So the 3 games that you missed that have perfect scores from all of those reviewers: Soul Calibur for Dreamcast,
What?
Metal Gear Solid 4, and Metal Gear Solid 5.
Really? 4 and 5?
5?
I wouldn't have got
Huh.
there.
I would have not.
They have perfect
No.
scores across those 3 reviewers.
Nope.
Wow.
There you have it. I got to be honest, I would not have got that.
No.
No, I just went through it because I mean most of my information came from there's a guy talking about Breath of the Wild, and he was saying like this company gave it a 10 out of 10 because they did a 10 scale, and he goes they literally he's like they've been publishing reviews on games for the past 25 years, whatever. They went back to like the original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or whatever, somewhere around there, and they're like they've literally given out 11 perfect scores in their time. They're like Breath of the Wild is one of them, and they listed off the other ones, and the other ones, and 2 of them were Rock Band 3 and Halo 3. I was like, really?
Whichever company
Those
that
2?
was, just a hint, that's not the company I used.
Okay, but I mean, one, it made me happy. I was like, because Rock Band 3 was a really
No,
good,
that was a
like
solid game.
for its thing. It was perfect for what it was. And then obviously I just like the Halo series. But sorry, I'm taking up a lot of time. We'll
You're
continue.
fine. All right. For the number questions, because most of them are low numbers, hint, I'm only going to take exact
11.
answers, so Price is Right rules are not going to apply.
Okay.
All right.
Question 2. How many games for cell phones have received a perfect score from one of those reviewers? Or at least one of those reviewers, I should say.
I'm gonna go with 1.
I'm going to go with 2.
I'm going to go with 3.
All right, Brian's going to get the point because it is 2.
Yeah. Do I get to guess what they are for extra
Well,
points?
Was
Question
was
3.
one of them?
What are the 2
okay.
cell phone games to receive that perfect score?
I'm gonna go with Super Mario Run, and I'm gonna go with what is another. I'm assuming Pokemon Go wasn't in there because it got shittied up right at the beginning and had a lot of problems. Fuck, I don't know.
I actually have the answer, I think. So can I go last?
Okay. Candy Crush and let's go with that ropes game. Sure, it's the only other one I can think of.
I think it's Candy Crush and Angry Birds.
Oh fuck.
So none of you get points. What? I doubt you even heard of these quote unquote perfect cell phone games. One of them is Infinity Blade 2,
Nope.
and one is a game from the early
fuck,
2000s
I was gonna say the original.
called Tornado Mania.
What the hell?
They have perfect scores from IGN. I don't really understand
Did
why.
Tornado Mania get a major motion picture movie? No, Angry Birds did. So, God dang.
What?
No, did they give the editor's little brother the chance to write some articles and he gave 2 10 out of 10s?
All right. Question 4. Out of the 24 games to receive a perfect score from Famitsu, generally regarded as one of the most revered scores since you have to get perfect scores from 4 people, only 2 of them have ever been made in the West. Which 2 Western-made games have that honor?
What do you?
Gosh.
Are you considering the West like?
Japan didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, I got mine.
Question: how long have they been in business?
Who?
This Famitsu people?
Famitsu.
Since at least the early 90s.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they
Okay.
reviewed games for years before Ocarina of Time got a perfect score, and it was the first game to get a perfect score.
Gotcha.
I really don't have good answers. So let's go with Grand Theft Auto 3 and Halo 3.
Killing it, Craig.
I'm not gonna
got
be
nothing,
much
man.
better, to be honest with you. I will say FIFA.
You need to name a year.
Oh,
You need to narrow it down
Okay.
just a little bit.
FIFA 2012 and oh shit, I don't even know.
And FIFA 2016.
No, I'm trying to think about. Honestly, I'm just trying to think of like, Forza.
I'll give you Forza.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with Witcher 3 and
Fable.
oh shit, I have no clue. Let's go with it won't be that game. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Hold on. If it's Tomb Raider, and The Witcher 3, I'm going to be mad, but go ahead.
Burke is going to get a point. Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the games.
Nice.
And the other game is Skyrim.
I thought about it, but I go, no, there's probably too many people that were like, oh, there were some technical issues. I didn't like that.
I didn't even think about Skyrim.
I didn't either.
I went with Witcher over Skyrim. Damn.
For Famitsu only, there are 3 series that have multiple entries in their perfect score list. So I'm looking for the 3 series. As a bonus, if you can tell me the exact number of games that each of those series has on it, you would get an extra point. So they have more than one game on Famitsu's 24 perfect games.
All right, let's go with The Legend of Zelda, and one of them is Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time.
You have to tell me the titles of the games, just how many from the Zelda series you're saying are on the list.
There's 2. I'm going to say there's 2 of those on the list. I'm going to assume the other ones didn't get there. Let's go with... let's also go with... Crap. Let's go Super Mario as well, and with 3 titles. And we'll go with... let's go with Metal Gear 4 and 5. Or Metal Gear as well.
I'm going to go with Zelda 2, as in, you know what I mean? Two of them from the Zelda series. I will say, because you said it earlier, it makes sense that the Metal Gear would be on there as well. So that I'm going to say 2 for that as well, just because I know those 2 are copying Craig. But then this one, the last one, will be, I will say that there is, you know what? I'll say Smash Brothers, and I'll say that there are 3, because there's Melee, Brawl, and U. So why not?
Okay. I'm going to go with Zelda and 2. Go Metal Gear Solid. Let's go with 3. Why not? And I completely spaced on the last one I had picked out that I thought was absolutely genius. Shit. Let's just go with Halo, because I can't think of what it was. Seriously, I'm really pissed, because that was going to be my first choice, and then it's gone. Shit.
I literally brought up a notepad for writing things down, but I have to go fast, so I don't use it all that often, but I've got a notepad up for just notes.
Yeah. Can I change mine and go with something legit like Far Cry? Because
Go for it.
Yeah, let's go with that. Don't think
And
it is.
how many titles?
Oh, 2.
Okay. So you're all going to get points for Zelda.
Nice.
Whoever said Metal Gear Solid's also going to get a point. Burke, you're going to get an extra point because you got the exact number of titles for Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
So we have Legend of Zelda with 4 titles, Metal Gear Solid with 3, and Final Fantasy with 2.
That was it.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. God damn it.
Mario has 1 entry, and Smash Brothers has 1 entry.
Oh, man.
I'm so pissed right now.
Wow,
I can tell.
he's walking
written it
around.
down.
Holy shit, he's pissed.
He just like rage got up for you know like the
God damn.
table
His
flip.
chair
He
is-
almost literally did that.
His chair is still spinning. Wow. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Dang. So, oof.
Fair enough. Ah, angry Burke.
Angry
right,
Burks.
Question 6. For this one, it's number answers, but I'm going to grant it if you're within 3 of the correct number. So out of the 3 companies we're using, based off sheer number that have received a perfect score, IGN is the most generous, Famitsu is in the middle, and GameSpot is the harshest. We already know that Famitsu has 24 perfect titles, so how many have each of the other 2 had?
You said IGN was more, they were more difficult, or they were
They were
GameSpot
more generous,
was
GameSpot
the-
is the harshest.
GameSpot. Okay. So, and you said
And Famitsu's in the middle, and we know that they
with
have 24.
Okay. So I'm going to go with 30 on the high end, and I'm going to go with 11 on the low end.
I'm going to go with 33, and I will go with 8.
I'm gonna go with 29 and 15.
All right, so you're each going to get 1 point. So IGN has given 35 games a perfect score, and GameSpot has given 13 games a perfect score.
Wow.
All right.
Tough.
Question 7. IGN reviewed games as they were re-released on Wii's Virtual Console. Some of them were games they had reviewed before, some were not. Which 2 games, when reviewed at Wii Virtual Console launch release, either still received a perfect score or gained a perfect score?
I think I actually know one of them for sure.
I'm gonna go with one being the original Castlevania, and then the second one is going. This is the Wii Virtual Console, right?
Correct.
Okay. The second one, I'm gonna go with Super Mario 2 World 2 or Yoshi's Island or whatever that one's called. That one.
I'm gonna go with Resident Evil 4 and Metroid Prime.
All right. I'm gonna go with Duck Hunt. Kidding. I have no clue. Let's go with Mega Man. I have to be specific because I don't know any of them.
I mean, you could be talking about the first one, I suppose.
Yeah, let's go with that one, and let's go with the Ninja Gaiden.
Okay, so no points are awarded this question.
Aww.
So one of the games is Ocarina of Time. I thought for sure that you guys would get that.
Nah.
And the other one was actually Chrono Trigger.
Really?
Mm.
Chrono Trigger?
Yep.
I had heard that Metroid was super good.
So they gained the perfect score on that one because I'm assuming Ocarina of Time kept the perfect
Correct.
score.
And
Okay.
Chrono Trigger, I don't know if it had just never been reviewed or got like a better score because of the new reviewer, but then it got a perfect 10 when it was released on Virtual Console.
Okay.
So switching gears for one question to Metacritic, only using Metascores, not users. How many video games have a perfect 100? And this is going to be exact answer.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
We're just going to switch for this one question to Metacritic. And we're only going to use the Metascores. We're not using user scores. How many video games have a perfect 100?
I'm going to go with 2.
I'm gonna go with 0.
Damn it. That's going to be my answer. I'm going to go with 3.
Should have stuck with 0 because it is 0. Breath of the Wild is now the closest with a 97.
There you go. People are mean.
Question 9. Out of consoles and handhelds by Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, 3 of them have never had a perfect game from IGN or GameSpot. Remember, we're going from 1997 and on. Which 3 are they?
Which 3 consoles has not had a perfect game?
Consoles or handhelds from 1997 or later, but only from Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft.
All right. Let's go with... Okay, so if this is too much and you can't tell me, that's fine. For games that potentially are multi-platform, are they considered to have a perfect score across all 3?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's go with the nope, you said those 3, Sony. Okay. Let's go with the PSP, let's go with the original Xbox, and let's go with the Game Boy Advance.
Jesus.
The first 2 were exactly what I was thinking, for sure. So PSP and original Xbox. But the last one, I'm going to go with, I'm going to say the Game Boy Color. That was that
Okay.
time period, I think.
I'm going to go with... I said the Game Boy Advance, the original Xbox, and let's go with the PlayStation 2.
All right, so Craig and Brian are going to get points for PSP. The other 2 that have not had one from IGN or GameSpot are actually GameCube and DS. All 3 of those systems do have at least one game from Famitsu that saves them, but from GameSpot and IGN, those 3 do not have a quote-unquote perfect game.
GameCube and DS? Really?
Yep.
That's bullshit.
Oh, because I was like 2 of the best-selling systems ever.
Yeah.
But it gets even worse for these next 2 consoles or handhelds, which 2 have never had a perfect game from any of the 3 reviewers.
You said just handhelds?
Consoles or handhelds.
Okay.
So now, the 3 from the last question were saved by Famitsu, but now there's 2 where IGN, GameSpot, and Famitsu do not have a perfect game from.
Okay. I'm going to go with... let's go with the... Nintendo seems like they probably give a 10 out of 10 because everybody gets 10 out of 10s, right? Yeah, let's go with the DS and we'll go with the PSP.
It won't include ones from the previous question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought
Sorry,
it was
that's what I
trying
was
to.
trying to explain.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood. So it's 3 completely different ones. Let's go with the original Xbox. Let's go with the PS Vita, and we'll
It's just
go
2.
with. There we go.
I'm
sorry. I had such troubles.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the Virtual Boy and the Lord, I don't know, Sega Saturn. No, Dreamcast, because it would be Dreamcast era. So Dreamcast.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought it was only Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft.
Oh shit! Then fine, Game Boy Color.
Because otherwise, I was going to say, I was going to do that too.
Let's go with Game Boy Color and the original Xbox.
All right, so the 2 are actually Game Boy Advance and the original Xbox. However, I will give Craig a point for Vita because I literally just forgot it existed. Virtual Boy, I don't know if any of the companies have ever reviewed a Virtual Boy game.
There was only 13 of them ever made, so their odds are low. But the point is that it technically existed. People, we can't deny our past.
True.
All right. The top games are generally easier to know things about because even if you haven't played them, you've likely heard of them. Same goes for games at the bottom. Some are so bad they're notorious. Others are so bad they haven't even gained notoriety. These next couple questions are going to be about the worst rated games from the above companies. For GameSpot and IGN, this is a 1.0. For Famitsu, this is as low as a 4. So, question 11, this is going to be exact answer. How many video games have received a 1 from GameSpot?
Let's go with 3.
I'm going to guess there's at least 5.
I'm gonna go with What Is Destiny, Bob? I mean, shit. Let's go with 1.
All right, so no one gets that. The answer is 4. So what system are all 4 of them for? They're all from the same one. Choices are any console, any handheld, or PC.
I'm going to go with the Atari 2600.
Doesn't it have to be from the certain era of the like early
Well,
90s?
fine. Let's just go with PC.
Yeah, it has to be on PC. There's got to be a shitty Steam store game.
I'm gonna go with. You just do general handhelds? Is that what you were saying, or you want a specific handheld?
A specific console, a specific handheld, or a PC.
Fuck it, PC.
Okay, yep, you all get the point there because for GameSpot, the 4 worst games are from PC. I've never heard of any of them, but when I did search them, there were people complaining about them everywhere. So we have Raven's Cry, Air Control, Ride to Hell, Retribution,
Yeah.
and Big Rigs Over the Road Racing.
I knew 2 of those. If that was a question, I would have actually got 2 of those.
No, it wasn't
Brian
a question.
gave them
But
10 out of 10.
No, the Big Rigs and the Ride to Hell Retribution, they have been mocked
I've heard of
mercilessly
the
forever.
I've heard of the Ride to Hell too.
the next question, and this number hint is going to be a bit higher than the last one. How many video games have received a 1.0 from IGN?
Let's go with 11.
I'm going to guess 7.
Fuck you, Brian. I'm gonna go with 7 too.
All right, so the answer is 29. IGN's the most generous for perfect and worst, apparently. Most of them are games I have not really heard of.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. So out of the 29 games given a 1.0 from IGN, a record 8 of them are from one console. Which console is this?
Let's go with. You said console, so it's not a handheld.
Correct.
Okay, I was wanting to make sure. Let's go with the original Xbox.
I'm going to go with, it could be any console now, right? So I'm going to go with the Sega Dreamcast.
I'm gonna go with the GameCube.
Okay, so the answer is actually the Wii.
What?
Yeah. A
People
lot
got-
of shit games were made for the Wii. There is actually on the list, there's a bunch of them, but there's this one series called Kids Sports, and kids is spelled with a Z, and it has like 4 different sports games that are on this list single-handedly.
Oh, no.
Because like there's like the hockey, the soccer, basketball, and like something else that are all from this series that are on their worst games.
That's how you know the game is serious, is when they put a Z in there.
Some of the other Wii ones that made the list were Monster Trucks, where trucks was spelled with an X instead of a CKS.
Wow.
And NFL Blitz 2003 for Game Boy Advance was also on there, which I thought was hilarious because Brian's obsessed with the N64 game.
Yeah, but I would say that was 2003. The only good year was 2000.
No, so all I heard was that on the list of shittiest games ever, you kind of cut out after you said NFL Blitz, and so I just take your word for it.
Backyard Baseball 09 was another Wii title that made a 1.0.
Oh, hell yeah. Anything that's not realistic baseball should get put on the shit list, too.
Mega Man 2 for iPhone apparently is a terrible, terrible game.
Wow.
All right, so last question here. The lowest scoring game from Famitsu that I could find, which is not on either list that we've gone over, was given a 12 out of 40, which was a 3 from each reviewer. What system was this game for? And I don't expect you to know the title of the game. I'm just going to ask, what sport did it involve?
I'm going to guess tennis for the Wii.
I'm going to guess cricket for the Wii.
God damn it, Brian. Fucking
Burke's like, I'm
hate
never
you.
fucking going last again.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna go with cricket for the GameCube. Fuck you.
Brian and Craig will get a point for Wii, but it's actually a golf game. It's called Pro Golfer Saru. And
Pro Golfer Saru.
Yeah, Famitsu tore it apart, which is kind of funny because they're pretty harsh, but they kind of tend to favor Nintendo games a little bit, and like they just tore this apart.
It wasn't like 0 out of 10, too much water.
Yeah, no, I was like, it was because Famitsu has been around for so long, like finding scores was really difficult because every time I was searching it, it was like, oh, here's a list of their perfect games. And I'm like, I already have that. I'm like, I want to know what their worst games are. So it took me like an hour and a half of research to find the lowest game that I could.
I believe that. Sometimes digging for the worst games is way harder than looking for the good ones. And then the worst part is when you find out that a game that you love is on that list of the worst ones. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and then like when you just search like generally worst games, like a lot of them are super old games, like way before these reviewers existed.
I'm with you. Yeah, I was worried.
What's our totals?
I got last with 9. Fuck you, Brian.
That's one of the highest scoring last places, though.
It is.
Brian was a close second with 10.
Man.
Did Craig get 11?
Yeah. It was 9, 10, 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was good.
11 points. That is how you do it right there. That is how you do it right there.
Greg's so excited.
You don't do any of this playing around with 9, 10, 15, 45. No, you stick at 11 and you stay there. That's what you do.
That's high
That's
score.
what you do. That's high scoring. That's winning, baby. And guess what? You all got dunked on.